Welcome to a new vlog. This vlog is going to be October-ish. I'm starting it in September, but it's going to be released in October. So for my October reading, I am like everyone else, and I enjoy to read horror, thrillers, all the spooky stuff for October. So when I was looking at the Hercule challenges, I was trying to find a challenge that would work well with reading horror and thriller books. And the one that jumped out at me immediately was spooky or mythical creatures. Is it spooky creatures or mythical creatures? Let me see. It is, oh, so yeah, literally called spooky creatures. So obviously jumped out as the option. So what I think I'm gonna do is, ooh, there's a spider on my window, is read 2 to 3 books for each spooky creature that is required for the Hercule. Or that didn't come out right. I'm going to read 2 to 3 books per vlog. Each book is going to be for one of the spooky creatures that is required by Hercule. And so in this first one, I'm going to, well, what are all the creatures? So here, my handy dandy marker board with all my challenges. And so spooky creatures is vampires, shifters, magic users, fae folk, spirits, merfolk, zombies, and other. So for the most part, I think I've got a book in mind for each of these. A couple of them I don't own, so I'm gonna have to see if I can get them through the library. Otherwise, I might have to do some tweaking. And the only one I haven't like picked a book for yet is magic user, because it's so vague. Like, it could be anything. So I might kind of save that if I decide I want to kind of mood read something, because I feel like, you know, a good 80% of my shelves probably includes some sort of magic user, so I don't think it won't be hard to fill. But I am going to start with fae folk, vampires, and spirits. I was also trying to pick books, that were shorter, easier to read, because the first full week of October, we are going south to visit my husband's family, so we're gonna have a long drive, and I don't want to lug giant tomes around with me. So the first one I'm reading is for fae, which is Don't Let the Forest In by C.G. Drews. This is a YA horror book. I don't know a ton. I have started it. I'm not super far in, maybe like 50 pages. And it deals with the fae, but I feel like the fae that is more true to like Celtic folklore fae than, you know, sexy fae like in Sarah J. Maas books. But it follows 2 friends who go to a boarding school, and it's alluding to something happening at the end of their previous year that sounds like left them injured or scarred in some way, so we don't quite know yet. And the boy's friend, so one of the 2 boys, something weird has happened with his parents, and then he's being like questioned by the police and stuff. So we're slowly getting more information, but I have a feeling the fae might have something to do with it. So enjoying this one so far, but this is the first one I'm going to read. And then I don't know what I'm going to read next, but I'll probably take both of them with me on our trip. I have Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. This is going to be for spirits. And I picked this one up a while ago, and because the synopsis sounded interesting, and then just haven't picked it up. So this is a good excuse to get into it. But I want to say it has to do, yeah, with Malaysian like folklore, and that is a folklore I know literally nothing about. So I'm very excited. So she soon learns the new. Oh, she's like hearing a voice in her head, but she realizes that she's not going crazy or losing her mind. It is the voice of her estranged grandmother, who was a medium when she was alive, and she has some unfinished business that she wants her granddaughter to take care of for her. So she's kind of haunting her granddaughter in order to get her to enact some revenge for her. So sounded super fun and interesting. So this is going to be for spirits. And then for vampires, I'm going to read A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. I've heard majority good things about this. The one voice in my ear that is saying it wasn't good was Gavin. And I'll have to ask him. I can't remember what he said he didn't like about it, but for the most part, everyone else I've talked to says it's great. And it's in epistolary form, so it's going to read quickly. I want to say the audiobook for this is even like only 5 hours long or something, so maybe I'll listen to that on the way down to Mississippi in the car, because that's a 13-hour drive one way and we're going to be doing it twice. So definitely we will be able to get that done in the car. But yeah, it's from the perspective of Dracula's wives. I love any book that gives a voice to characters of history that previously had none. So I am looking forward to this, and I'll see where I land on whether or not I'm going to like it or not. But that's where I'm starting, so I will touch back in once I'm a little farther into Don't Let the Forest In and let you know how I'm feeling about it. So, a quick update. I am about 100 pages into Don't Let the Forest In, and it was a little slow to start. I wasn't super into it right away, but this last chapter I just read kind of gripped my attention. It definitely is getting darker, and our main character is trying to decide whether he's losing his mind or if the things that are happening to him are actually happening to him. And this last one, the thing he experienced, there's like kind of no more denying that either he's starting to lose his mind or something really strange is starting to happen to him. So I feel like from here on out, things are going to start progressing a bit more, because before it was just kind of waiting for something to happen. So I'm enjoying it a lot more now. And I'm definitely kind of enjoying this more like Celtic, really dark take on the Fae than kind of what's been more popular in fiction as of recent when it comes to the Fae. But I'm enjoying that one. And then I'm also now about 60% or so into Blackwater Sister. And this one's interesting because it's all about spirits and stuff, but spirits from a Malay or Malaysian viewpoint, and like their religion and beliefs about the supernatural. And I knew that it was a pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? A lot of cultures are spiritual, but a very, I guess, superstitious religion and group. So it's been a lot of fun reading through that one. There are times where I feel like it drags a little bit, but then something happens and it sucks me right back in. So I'm just kind of like having this, a little bit of like whiplash between, it's starting to drag, I'm getting a little bit bored, but then something happens and then I'm like, my interest is reignited, and then it drags again, and then I'm reignited and drags. So it's kind of a back and forth thing. But I'm enjoying it so far. I really kind of like the element of her being haunted by a relative that she never really knew, and she's kind of getting to know them and her mom's side of the family now post her grandmother's life, and kind of unraveling all these secrets about her mother's family that her mom has kept secret from her. And then it's also fun just to see this different culture's family dynamics and how they interact with extended family, what offends them, what doesn't offend them, because it is, very different from my own upbringing and my own experience with my family. So I'm enjoying it. It's not my favorite thing I've ever read, but something wild could happen here towards the end. But I'm hoping to maybe finish that here tonight, depending on how long it takes the kids to go to bed, and depends if I fall asleep while putting them to bed as well. But we will see. But I will touch base again, probably after work or after the kids go to bed. I do have some stuff on my break today that I need to do for work, so I won't get a lot of reading done while at work. So it'll probably be more so tomorrow or after the kids go to bed. But that's it for now. the other night I did finish Blackwater Sister. What did I give it? Sorry, I'm making coffee. You can hear that water. Oh man, welcome to Mississippi where the humidity is a lifestyle. I want to say I gave it like 3.75 stars. I did enjoy it. The ending was entertaining. I don't know why. It felt very middling in its appeal. You know, I didn't want to not finish it at any point. I just never really felt the keen drive to like binge it or to feel like I had to keep picking it up in order to know what happened. You know, it was just something that I would finish eventually and would, you know, somewhat enjoy. I did really enjoy the aspect of learning about Malaysian kind of superstitions and gods and religion and how all of that kind of played a part. Was definitely a lot of fun. I will for sure read from this author again. I have not. I think Zen Cho, I think was the name. I don't have the book with me here. I left it at home. I don't know if this is a debut for her or if she's got other things under her belt, but I will definitely look into it because I did enjoy it enough to read more from her as an author. So that is Ghosts for Spooky Creatures. And then I also finished Don't Let the Forest In. And that one definitely was a little bit more disappointing than I had hoped. I ended up giving that one, you know, kind of a generous 3 stars. It was very, I mean, this just might be a sign for me that YA is just not my genre anymore, but it just felt so angsty and melodramatic. And I get that it being a horror and supposed to kind of have this gothic vibe to it, that would probably be a factor, but it was just so overly melodramatic. These 2 boys pining for each other and how they would die for each other, and I don't know, it was just very emo, I think is the word I want to use. So it didn't come off as like romantic gothic to me as it did emo, which, you know, I definitely had my fair share of in high school myself, being a teenager in peak emo era. I don't know, reading it now, it just felt, I didn't feel for them as characters and I didn't feel their love for each other as characters. It was more kind of cringy for me. And again, that could just be me now being a 34-year-old adult trying to read an angsty teenage romance. I think I kind of upped it on the star rating just for the fact that, you know, it just might not be for me anymore. But I finished that one, so I finished Ghost, and then that one was for the Fae, which again, I could probably argue that this wasn't technically Fae. At no point during the book did it say like we were dealing with Fae creatures, even the Fae that are more like Celtic Fae. They just definitely kind of had more of that vibe. So like, I'm gonna still count it. I think it might be a bit of a stretch, but you know, I'm not here to police anything. But now I am about, I don't know, 80 or so pages into A Dowry of Blood by S.T. Gibson. And so far I'm enjoying it. It, again, kind of has some of that gothic, historical monster energy that I'm definitely looking for, you know, monster books to read in October. So far I'm enjoying that one. I am listening in, following along in my book. So once I get farther into that, or maybe once I even finish it, I'll update you unless something crazy happens in the book, then I'll update you sooner. But it's not very long. It's only like a 5-hour audiobook and I'm already like an hour and a half in. So, you know, I'll probably, depending on how much longer Gray is napping and what time they end up going to bed tonight, I might be able to finish that either tonight or tomorrow, so we will see. But I'm gonna go back to listening to that and see how much farther I can get. So I will update you at some point. here for an update. If I can keep track in my mind what I'm supposed to update for what vlog, I'm like losing my absolute mind on what I'm supposed to do. But I finished A Dowry of Blood the other night, and I did really enjoy this. I think I gave it like, 4 stars. It was, I'm being summoned. That was fast. I'll be right back. I swear, young kids have an impulse to say mom as loud as possible, at least once every 10 minutes, whether they need anything or not. But I finished A Dowry of Blood. I think I said that. And I enjoyed it. I finished it a couple nights ago now, and honestly, I'm already starting to kind of forget the details. So maybe it wasn't as impactful as I felt it was upon finishing it. But then at the same time, I am reading, this kind of was reminiscent of the new V.E. Schwab book that I finished reading just a couple months ago. So I have been ingesting a lot of stories like this, so they could be blending together just because I've been reading a lot of very similar things. But I did like it. It was enjoyable. It was a really fast read. Like I said, the audiobook was only about 5 hours long. What I like that horror does best is that it can make real commentary on a lot of issues in normal society. And in this case, women and where they stand in relationships with men and their power, but do it in a fantastical way using things like vampires. And this did that. It definitely kind of just talked about the abuse that can happen in relationships that don't always look like physical abuse. They can be, the mental abuse, the control type of abuse. And being able to describe that in a story we're all somewhat familiar with, especially if you're into the horror genre, like you've heard of Dracula, you've heard of his wives, and, he obviously wasn't a great dude, a very controlling kind of dude. So it was just cool to hear the perspective from the victim. And they didn't ever even actually call him Dracula. As far as I can remember, they never even used his name or called him by anything other than just you. So it kind of reminded me of, oh shoot, what's that book? I can picture the cover here. I'll put it here. It was fiction, but very much pulling from the very true story of Ted Bundy and how he had the massacre before he got caught for the second time at the sorority in Florida, and how she, in order to give more power to the victims, told the story from their perspective and never used his name to, belittle him and to not give him the notoriety as much as possible, because that's why they do the things they do. That they want the notoriety, they want to have their name and completely diminish and erase the women they hurt. And that's what this kind of reminded me of, but just in a much more fictional version of it by using the Dracula story, in which we all are somewhat familiar with. I liked it. And again, a very quick read. And I think this, oh, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Okay, so before I get interrupted anymore between kids or phone calls, I'm going to wrap this vlog up because I did finish that 3rd book. So I read Blackwater Sister, and what did I give it? 3.75. So enjoyed it. And that was for the ghost prompt. And then I finished Don't Let the Forest In, which was for the Fae prompt. My son's just typing on a computer over here and bringing up things I've never seen before. Let's not do that, please. Thank you. And didn't love that one as much as I had hoped, but I'm not quite sure if I don't think it was because the quality of the book wasn't great or anything. I think it's just not my age bracket anymore. So again, somewhere around a 3 stars. And then I read A Dowry of Blood for the vampires and gave that a good 4 stars. Look at Mommy Gray. So those are going to be the first 3 books I read for the Spooky Creatures vlog. Success. I read a lot more here in the week than I thought I would, and got it done a lot sooner than I thought I would, especially being on vacation with kids. I've already started my next book for the next one, which will be merfolk. So I'm excited to do that. But that will be in Spooky Creatures Part 2. So tune in for that. But for right now, Part 1 is done. Have a great spooky October if you partake.